Believe in democracy, please stand up. We are March on Harrisburg. Woo. We have just marched 35 miles from Lancaster to Harrisburg. Can you smell us? Can you hear us? Can you see us? We have blisters on our feet. We have sunburn on the back of our necks. We marched from Lancaster to Harrisburg to deliver a message that we believe in democracy, that we believe in American self-governance, that we believe in a government of, by, and for the people. We believe in creating a world of love. We believe in creating a world where our human rights are guaranteed, where we aren't pitted against each other in an endless divide and conquer fueled by the endless money of special interests and billionaires. We believe in a world where we can all thrive. And that world can only exist if the people can come together, look at each other, listen to each other, respect each other, and make decisions for the common good. We believe in a world where we can be responsible for each other, where we can be responsive to each other, a world where we can look at each other, see our common shared humanity, and build a world from there. A world that follows the golden rule of love your neighbor as yourself, not the golden rule of this institution, which is the guy with the gold makes the rules. We believe that everybody should have a seat at the table, because if you don't have a seat at the table, you're probably on the menu. And we are sick and tired of being on the menu. When human beings see each other, when we hear each other, when we respect each other, the natural response is service. It's love. When you see a human being suffering, the natural response is to do something about it. That's deep inside of all of us. But sometimes we don't see each other. We don't hear each other. We don't sense each other. We're indifferent to each other. And that happens for a lot of reasons. One of them is called corruption. When money gets into politics, even the most wise amongst us, even the most righteous amongst us, is blinded, is deafened to the voices, to the cries, to the faces of each other. It's written in the book of Deuteronomy, do not take a bribe, because a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of the righteous. It says in Isaiah, your rulers are rebels, partners with thieves. They chase after bribes, the widow and the orphan's cause does not come before them. Because when corruption is systemic, we do not see each other, we do not hear each other, and we suffer. We are not responsive to each other, and people get hurt. It's very easy to be corrupt in this building. In fact, the people who built this building had to go to trial for corruption. Everything you see around us, they said that lamp cost $6, it actually costs, they said it cost $600, it actually cost $6. They pocketed the difference. That's baked into this building. The corruption is baked into here. And it's our job to make this, transform this from a palace of the robber barons to the people's house, where the business of the people is the business of this institution. If you would like to give money to a Pennsylvania public official, to a Pennsylvania state legislator, here are a few ways to do it. Here are a few ways to translate private special interest money into public power. Number one, give them a gift. Take them to the Super Bowl. Take them to the Bahamas. Take them out for surf and turf 3 times a day. Give them anything. We have no limits on gifts in the Pennsylvania State Legislature. And boy, have we come close in past sessions to getting that gift ban through. Looking at you. Another way to give money to a Pennsylvania public official, to a state legislator, is cut them a check for their campaign. Give them a campaign contribution. We have no limits. The richest man in the Commonwealth, Jeffrey Yass, regularly cuts 6- and 7-figure checks to his favorite politicians. He props them up single-handedly, gives them the money they need to buy the votes they need to get into office. We have no limits on campaign contributions. We have no limits on side jobs. This is a full-time, well-paid state legislature. Starting salary over $100,000 a year, great health care, great pension, all types of perks. And yet they can legally work side jobs where they receive unlimited, unknown amounts of money. The chair of our Senate Environmental and Energy Resources Committee moonlights as a practicing attorney for the fossil fuel industry. Private money is legally used to buy public power and to shape the agenda and pass laws that benefit the private special interests and billionaires at the expense of the rest of us. And we're left out in the cold. If you want to get money to a Pennsylvania state legislator, you say these magic words to them. Do you know what you're going to do after this? What's your next job? And that's called the revolving door. When public officials are working toward that next job and auditioning for that next job as a lobbyist, rather than serving the people now. If you want to find our former acting health secretary, go to the UPMC lobbying hub, and that's where you'll find him. A few years ago, we passed the gift ban out of committee, and that day in committee, somebody showed up with an amendment that gutted the gift ban bill. A few months later, that person was a lobbyist. When they gutted the gift ban bill in committee, were they doing their job as a public servant, or were they auditioning for their next job? Auditioning. Corruption blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of the righteous. The best among us can come into this building with the best of intentions, and compromise after compromise, they lose themselves. They forget who they are. They start leaning toward the green, and by green I don't mean good climate policy, I mean the money. And before long they forget who they are, and they're just another cog in the machine, just another brick in the wall. We need the Senate to pass a gift ban. We need them to pass campaign finance reform. We need them to pass a revolving door ban. We need them to pass a ban on side jobs. We need them to do a lot of things. There's one more bill that they need to pass right now, and that bill is House Bill 2433. House Bill 2433 already passed out of the House. Dear Senate, half the work is already done. It's your turn now. It's your turn to pass HB 2433, which would ban multinational corporations from spending on Pennsylvania politics. It says that if you are a multinational corporation, you are not allowed to spend unlimited amounts of money influencing our elections, because our elections are for us, the people of Pennsylvania. They are not for the Saudi royal family to buy a 10% stake in Uber and use Uber to spend unlimited amounts of money flooding our mailboxes, our social media accounts, our TV, our radio airwaves with nonsense, with lies, with misinformation that pushes the interests of a foreign-influenced corporation and not the interests of the people of Pennsylvania. We need to build a government of, by, and for the people. Amen. Folks, we just walked 35 miles to get here. Our feet hurt. Pretty sure I'm dehydrated right now. This is our 5th long-distance march on Harrisburg. Raise your hand if your feet hurt. This is our 5th long-distance march on Harrisburg, 2 times from Philadelphia to Harrisburg, 2 times from Lancaster to Harrisburg, and once from York to Harrisburg. This is not the first time we've been in this building. We keep marching on Harrisburg. It's our name, it's what we do. And that march, and I'm going to speak personally here as a rabbi, that march is a pilgrimage. It's a sacred thing. Way back when, people used to pick up and march to Jerusalem, to the temple, to sacrifice. And for me as a rabbi, that's what we're doing here. This is the temple. It looks like a temple. It has tall marble pillars, big steps leading up to it, a great dome. This is the center of commerce and power. And we march here, we come on pilgrimage to the temple, to the Capitol, and we sacrifice. And a sacrifice, biblically speaking, it means to draw near to encounter, to hug. It means to come close to come face to face, to cut through the blinders of corruption and see each other in our full humanity and strive toward our highest and holiest ideals together. And so we marched again, we came again on pilgrimage, and we're here once again to sacrifice. We're here to force the encounter with Senate leadership, Senate President Kim Ward, and ask the very simple question, which side are you on? Are you on the side of the people of Pennsylvania? Or are you on the side of giant multinational corporations who are trying to buy our elections? Which side are you on? And we're going to force that encounter until we earn her love, redeem her soul, and have her see the people of Pennsylvania not as an annoying thing to cast aside and ignore and get rid of and try to silence any way possible, but as people to love, as her neighbors, as people that deserve basic human rights. And we're going to sacrifice until we build a world of love, until we build a democracy where we can all not just survive, but thrive, where we don't have 800 people a day dying from the symptoms of poverty in the richest country in the history of the world, where healthcare is a human right, where we don't bury our school children in $80 million worth of student lunch debt, where we don't produce 1% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, a world where we can survive and thrive. We're going to hear next from Alexandra, who's going to talk to us about House Bill 2433, what it does, why it's so important, and why Senate President Kim Ward needs to pass it right now.
Hello, Harrisburg. I first just want to commend all the people that marched the last number of days to here, the Harrisburg Capitol, for their sacrifice, for their work, and for their leadership in defending democracy in Pennsylvania and across the country. My name is Alexandra Flores-Quilty. I am the campaign director of Free Speech for People. We are a national nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. Through our legal advocacy and grassroots organizing, we are dedicated to upholding the Constitution, strengthening our democracy, fighting for political equality, and ensuring American democratic self-government. I am proud to stand here in Pennsylvania, where the General Assembly has passed one of the most innovative and crucial pieces of democracy legislation advancing across the country. Right now in Pennsylvania and the U.S. at large, we face a threat of foreign interference in our elections through the political spending of multinational corporations. HB2433, now pending in the Pennsylvania Senate, will address this issue and bar foreign influence corporations from spending in Pennsylvania elections. This will protect our democracy and return the power to the people. Foreign nationals are already banned from participating in any way in U.S. elections. And yet, since the Citizens United ruling, big multinational corporations have gotten a free pass. Corporations can have huge ownership from foreign individuals living abroad, foreign corporations, and even foreign governments. Those same multinational corporations are currently allowed to spend unlimited amounts of money in Pennsylvania elections. As the CEO of ExxonMobil stated, "I'm not a U.S. company and I don't make decisions based on what's good for the United States." Corporations are accountable to their investors. That is how they are structured. So a corporation like Airbnb, whose top investors include Russian oligarchs, will be operating in the interest of its investors, including when it makes large expenditures in Pennsylvania elections. The same goes for Lyft, partially owned by a Chinese conglomerate, or Uber, partially owned by the Saudi government. There is nothing wrong with foreign investment in corporations. That's a free market. And there is nothing wrong with barring foreign influence corporations from spending money to influence elections. That's democracy. That is why the Pennsylvania Senate needs to pass HB 2433 and bar multinational corporate spending in Pennsylvania elections. It will protect elections from foreign influence and reduce the huge power of big spending foreign influence corporations. Momentum is on our side. The city of Seattle has done it. The city of San Jose has done it. And the state of Minnesota has done it. Now Pennsylvania can do it. You can show the nation what democracy looks like. And the nation is watching. U.S. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse and Representative Jamie Raskin have introduced a bill to get foreign money out of U.S. elections. But Congress needs to see the states lead, and Pennsylvania has the chance to lead. People want to know their lawmakers are accountable to them. This is the principle of self-government. It's time for Pennsylvania state law to stop multinational corporations from providing paths for foreign entities to achieve, either directly or indirectly, what they are barred from doing as foreign governments or individuals: spending money in U.S. elections. Pennsylvanians, especially those in marginalized communities, know that elections don't truly reflect those who call this state home when elections are heavily influenced by runaway corporate spending and foreign investors. To protect the integrity of Pennsylvania's self-government, it is time to pass a state law banning political spending by multinational corporations. Pennsylvania Senate, pass HB 2433 and protect Pennsylvania elections. Thank you.
Woo. Can you hear us? Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Come on, Senate President Kim Ward, it's time to do it. Time to pass House Bill 2433. But that's not all, there's more. The Senate's sitting on a lot of good things right now. And we as March on Harrisburg, we're part of the Poor People's Campaign. And we move forward together and not one step back. And in that moving forward together and not one step back, we also move forward with other bills to eliminate student lunch debt, to provide dental care back into Medicaid, And to learn more about that, we're going to hear from Nijmi with Put People First. Here we go.
Forward together. Forward together. Forward together. When I say fight poverty, you say not the poor. Fight poverty. Not the poor. Fight poverty. Not the poor. Fight poverty. Not the poor. First of all, give yourselves a hand, March on Harrisburg. Incredible, incredible work once again. I just want to thank all of the folks here. I know that y'all are behind me, so I can't look directly at you, but believe me, I'm looking at you and I'm saying thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. My name is Nijmi Zakia Zarinko. I live in Clearfield, Pennsylvania, in the central Appalachia region of the state. I'm with Put People First PA and the Nonviolent Medicaid Army, also the Poor People's Campaign, and the National Union of the Homeless. So, what I want to speak briefly on today, as you all are here calling out the corruption and the way that our political system is rigged against everyday people. In this building, which by the way, I never cease to name this point when I'm here, is literally priceless. They can't put a price on this building because of the amount of marble and gold and art in this building. It numbers in the trillions. That's where we're sitting, that's where we're standing today, in a building that is literally priceless. And that's a good example of the root of what March on Harrisburg is here talking about today, because the root of corruption is a system that puts profit over people's lives. That's the actual root cause, is a structure, a foundation of a society in which profit is the highest goal and not the care and concern for people's lives. That's the reason our political system functions the way that it does. That's the reason that corruption is so easy in the system that we have. Another bill that needs to pass the Senate is HB2433. Well, what would this bill do? It would restore the adult dental benefit in Medicaid. And we're coming back to this building on Monday, September 30th. We're going to be on the Capitol steps outside. And we have a very simple message, a very simple slogan and message for the Senate. Guess what it is? We need our teeth. We need our teeth. In 2011, the adult dental benefit was severely cut from Medicaid. Now, you can look at it and say, oh, that was a Republican governor, so that was on the Republicans. But actually, it was cut under guidance from the Obama administration in a bid to tell states how to save money on their health care. So once again, it was a bipartisan decision, a bipartisan move that left us in Pennsylvania with a situation where over the last 13 years since that benefit was cut, there have been millions of unnecessarily pulled teeth. Why? Because if you get your health care through Medicaid and you go to the doctor and you need a root canal, or you need a crown, or you need frequent deep cleanings, you can't get them. And you only get one set of dentures for life. So that means if you're a working class person in this state that gets their health care through Medicaid, you're getting your teeth pulled. So I want you all to imagine here what it would be like in this rotunda right now if where you're sitting was that pile of millions of unnecessarily pulled teeth. When we come back on Monday, September 30th at noon on the Capitol steps, we're going to bring with us not only teeth, but a huge quilt and banners of the names and photos and stories of the people in this state who have had our teeth pulled, who have struggled to get dental care. The Senate needs to pass HB 1417. There's a companion bill in the Senate, SB 955. These are simple things. These are not complicated things. We need our teeth. Say it with me. We need our teeth. And this is the message that we bring to the people in this building. And the only reason that it's so complicated and difficult to get things passed is because the people in this building don't work for us. They work for the companies and the corporations that deny us care, that deny us health care, that deny us housing, that deny us living wages, that deny us a clean environment. That's the reason. And we actually have some proof. We're going to show that in the 2021-2022 legislative season, how many of the bills that passed out of the legislature did anything for everyday working class people. We have some research that we've been working on, and we're going to share it on September 30th. Monday, September 30th, on the Capitol steps at noon. Forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Fight poverty.
Not the poor.
Fight poverty.
Not the poor.
Thank you so much.
If we had a democracy, do you think we'd be pulling teeth? No. If we had a democracy, do you think we would be putting kids into debt for eating lunch? Hell no. We're going to learn more about that now from Talon, from the Pennsylvania Debt Collective.
My name is Talon Summers, and I recently graduated high school in Montgomery County, and I'm here today with the Pennsylvania Debt Collective and the Cancel Lunch Debt Coalition. Lunch debt is an unspoken epidemic in this country. People who don't have it will tell you that it doesn't matter because we have free and reduced lunch for those living far below the poverty line. But there are millions of students who don't qualify under that threshold and still cannot afford lunch at school. That is not even to speak of the shame put upon students and their families who may need that free lunch. There are tens of millions of students in this country with debt, and I was once among them. Having lunch debt is a humiliating experience. School districts will harass students and revoke their basic privileges at school if they cannot afford to pay. When I had just a few cents of debt in middle school, my parents and I received daily texts and emails until it was paid. That's not even to speak of the social stigma surrounding lunch debt. For years, I wasn't able to afford meals in a district where most students didn't even know how much their food cost. Yet even in my district, there are hundreds of students with debt and tens of thousands of dollars of it. And across the Commonwealth, there is an estimate of nearly $80 million of school meal debt. Meanwhile, our federal government will finance corporate bailouts, spend billions on Israel's genocide, and Clarence Thomas is probably on his latest all-expenses-paid vacation right now. Despite the obvious hypocrisy, politicians will still tell you that free lunch is too expensive, that somehow they're bigger priorities, because apparently it's more important to invest in the pockets of rich men than the futures of children. I just graduated high school. I was lucky. If I hadn't been able to pay off my debt, they would not have given me my diploma. 4 years for nothing. There were no bootstraps that would have pulled me across that finish line. Just cold, hard cash. But no matter what they tell you, making food free for students is an achievable goal. We're already halfway there. Breakfast is already free for all students, and I cannot stress enough the impact that had on my life and so many other students I know. We have already seen Minnesota Governor and Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz ensure universal school meals in his state of Minnesota. So now, all we need to do is make sure that Governor Josh Shapiro steps up and takes action like that. The powerful and corrupt will always claim that change isn't possible and isn't worth it, and they'll keep shouting right as we make it happen. We can pass legislation here in Pennsylvania to eliminate corruption in our politics and end debt in our schools. We're working for a debt jubilee, and all it's going to take is a really big push. Forward together, not one step back. Forward together, not one step back. Thank you.
Senate President Kim Ward, there's a lot for you to do this fall. We need to pass House Bill 2433. We need to reinstate the adult dental benefit back into Medicaid. We need to cancel student lunch debt and provide free meals. We need to guarantee the basic human rights of the people of Pennsylvania. Our lives depend on it. We have to win. We need some justice. It's tough to come into this building. We're so often denied justice. And we keep pushing, and we keep pushing, and we keep pushing. And we keep getting further and further and further every time, every year, every month, every week, every day. We move forward together toward justice. And it takes a lot of effort, and I just want to say one more time, well done to everybody who's here. Well done to everybody who keeps marching toward justice. Well done to everybody who sacrifices for the greater good. Well done. We're going to close out with a few words from Andrea. And that is all.
Testing. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, it's coming through? Okay, I'm not usually at the mic. First, just want to give ourselves a round of applause, a pat on the back. Woo! We just marched for 35 miles. 35 miles in 3 days. And we are exhausted, and we are tired, but we are here. I am Andrea. I am originally from New Jersey, but I have now lived in Pennsylvania for 6 years. In all different parts of our state, from Pittsburgh to where I went to school, to Philly, and now I live in Lancaster. I might have been raised in New Jersey, but I now know Pennsylvania will be my lifelong home. And if it's okay, I want to close us out with a story from 2 years ago, right in this building, right in this rotunda here. Every time I come to the Capitol, I am reminded of September 12th, 2022. Many of us here remember, and were there, that year we marched 33 miles from York to Harrisburg. And on September 12th, we arrived to the Capitol and demanded what we had been demanding for years. Pass the gift ban. Make bribery illegal. The bill had been passed out of committee, but House Majority Leader Benninghoff had broken 2 promises to schedule a vote. So we decided to pursue a rare legislative maneuver to bypass Benninghoff and force a gift ban vote. We began that day by flyering all 203 State House offices with our intention to pass the gift ban that day. That morning, before session, legislators panicked and held meetings where they discussed how to kill the bill. We were in the middle of a press conference after a 3-day march, just like we are today, and Michael had been speaking, in the middle of speaking, when we found out that they had abruptly ended session that day. Just like that, the gift ban bill was dead, with no fingerprints on the body. After finding that out, Michael took a moment to digest the information and then began speaking about how we were not going to be coming back to Harrisburg for a while. We were going to take a break to build the movement necessary to force this legislature to outlaw its own corruption. And I'll never forget, in that moment, I saw, out of the corner of my eye, I think it was, if I remember correctly, over there, right in that corner, a group of legislators and lobbyists cozied up in a corner, watching our press conference, and they were laughing. They were laughing. They thought it was funny. Watching that interaction and seeing in real time money deepening itself more into our political system, happening so casually like that, right in front of my face, it changed me in ways that I don't think I'll ever really be able to describe to anyone. And I remember I started crying watching that happen, because there's nothing like witnessing your own legislator, who is supposed to represent you, laugh with a lobbyist at your suffering. I remember thinking to myself, how do these people here sleep at night? What is the story that you have to tell yourself to justify keeping students in lunch debt? I mean, we have children in lunch debt. What are we doing here? Where are we going? What is the story you have to tell yourself to deny people basic dental care? I mean, basic stuff. What is the story you have to tell yourself after you go out to dinner with the Comcast lobbyist or healthcare lobbyist or fracking lobbyist? How do you sleep at night? How do you live with yourself? When you enter the state capitol in Harrisburg, when you enter this building, you are suddenly cast into a cruel and hollowed arena where our legislators meet with lobbyists and mock the people they are supposed to represent. That is what we are up against. A cruel system where our politicians are apathetic and indifferent because they are systematically bribed by gifts and campaign contributions and revolving door jobs and side jobs, and I mean, the list goes on. We would be here all day if we continued. Fast forward to 2 years later, to today. We just marched 35 miles from Lancaster to Harrisburg. We marched through extreme heat and the beating sun. We have blisters all over our feet. We haven't showered. We are dehydrated, but we are here, forcing the encounter and forcing Senate leadership to listen to us. This session, we passed a huge bill through the full House that would stop multinational corporations from political spending in Pennsylvania. And I mean, I cannot stress this enough, a huge bill. And like Alexander said earlier, this is an obvious corruption, or an obvious loophole that needs to be closed in order to protect our self-governance. We passed it through the full House, and we have no promises, no commitments, no desire to pass it, just silence from Senate President Kim Ward. It has been 77 days since HB2433 was voted through the House floor. 77 days. We have tried over and over again to meet with Kim Ward. We have contacted her office, we visited her district and Capitol office, we have billboarded in her district. I mean, we even sent a verified letter to her office. We have tweeted her, we have done call campaigns. I mean, we have done everything by the book. Everything, in the way that you are supposed to do things, the correct and proper way. We have done those things. And she refuses to talk. Crickets from Senate President Kim Ward's office. So we are here making her face us. And our allies at the PPC, the Pennsylvania Poor People's Campaign, are experiencing the same issue. They have bills that have passed through the full House, and they are now waiting for movement in the Senate, and have heard nothing from Senate leadership. We have heard today from the PA Debt Collective, we have children in Pennsylvania with school lunch debt. We've heard today from Put People First PA, we have thousands of Pennsylvanians who can't get basic dental care because it was cut from Medicaid. And this is all because we live in a system where profit is continuously put over people's lives every single day. And we deserve better. And we are fed up. And we refuse to be passive as our communities are sacrificed. There is so much discussion, especially right now in an election year, about how divided and polarized we are. But at March in Harrisburg,
we've found that Pennsylvanians are incredibly united on getting money out of politics. We agree. We just marched from Lancaster to Harrisburg, and we marched through red areas, and we marched through blue areas. And no matter the neighborhood, people cheered us on and were in agreement. We don't want our politicians listening to corporations and CEOs. We want them representing us. And so we are here in person, after months of being ignored, to voice our demands. We demand Kim Ward stand with Pennsylvanians and stop multinational political spending and pass HB 2433. Do you hear that, Kim Ward? Do you hear that? We're talking to you. You continue to ignore us. We're here. We demand Kim Ward cancel student lunch debt. We demand Kim Ward restore the adult dental benefit. And we are not going to back down from these demands. We will not continue to be ignored and silenced and forced to grovel. We are here. And we are here today because none of us are going away. None of us are moving. Nobody is leaving. Pennsylvania is our home, and we refuse to allow it to be sacrificed in the name of political greed. It is time for Senate President Kim Ward to pass HB 2433. Thank you. Woo!
This is a press conference after all, so I'd like to make a little bit of room here if the press has any questions. No pressure. It's pretty straightforward stuff, isn't it? Absolutely. There are gift ban bills in both the House and the Senate that have been introduced and have been backlogged in both chambers. Buried, bottled up, you know how it goes. There are bills to close the revolving door. There are bills to ban side jobs. There are bills to have campaign finance reform and cap campaign contributions. There are bills for all of this stuff. There are bills to end gerrymandering. There are bills to institute ranked choice voting. There are bills to open up our primaries. There are bills for same-day voter registration, automatic voter registration, early voting. There are pro-democracy, anti-corruption bills throughout this legislature that year after year after year after year get bottled up by corrupted special interests who would rather, won't even say it, but do not want these things to happen. Just to continue to add a little more information here, we've been trying to meet with the Senate President before this session even began. Our attempts to meet with the Senate President go back multiple sessions to when she was the Senate Majority Leader. We have been frozen out, we have been locked out, we have been ignored. The only communication we ever received in writing stated, "There is no reason for us to meet at this time." Well, why would we reach out for a meeting without a reason? Of course there's a reason. But that was them saying, "Can you please just shut up and go home? Can you please just go somewhere where we could ignore you? Can you please just stop all this rabble about human rights and democracy? Can you just go die toothless and dead?" Any other questions? Okay, we're going to end and we're just going to kind of hang out here for a minute. Any other questions from the press? Don't we all deserve so much better? Don't we all have a right to live? Don't we all have a right to survive and thrive? The business of this building for too long has been the business of big business. It needs to be the people's house. Thank you all so much for joining. I hope that you all stick around for a few minutes here.